So I am coloring Beautiful and Intricate Coloring Book for Adults Volume 2. Of course, my thing is You Bring the Color. It's by Laurie Craig and it's available on Amazon. And I do believe I have it on Etsy, or will be getting it on Etsy soon. I'm using Crayola Super Tips right now. And I've just picked this one out to go with kind of like a green, red, blue with a bit of yellow is what I've picked out so far. We'll see how it goes. So this was more of a floral pattern mandala, but I'm going to try and give it a bit of a Christmassy theme just because we're getting close to that season. And it doesn't, I know we're still waiting for Halloween, but it doesn't quite fit the Halloween vibe for me. Not very talkative, which is why I've never streamed, but this has nice thick lines so that if someone like me wants to color, they still can, even if they have fine motor skill issues or eyesight issues, which, you know, happens. But we still like to color, so this is what this book is for. A large number of my books are either thick-lined or incredibly tiny. So always double check what you look, before you decide which books you want. Just because they are so varied in skill levels and whether or not they are accessible. Because some of them you need really tiny markers for it. There we go. It's going with reds. So I will probably take out the sound, put music in, but I do enjoy drawing very much, and so I make coloring books, and people kept telling me to start videoing myself coloring them, so that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see how that goes. I have a lot of fun drawing them, and I always do my best to color them, but I do have some fine motor skill issues, which means for the really complex ones it takes me days because I have to take breaks. So I figured for my first video of me coloring all the way through, I would pick one of the less complicated ones, less ornate, slightly less intricate, but not less beautiful, and just film that. I like having the thicker lines though, because when my hand starts to give a little bit, I don't have to worry so much about it. So, but I know that a lot of people also like the really intricate ones, and I do have a weakness for drawing intricate. Oh, I just made a mistake. But we will see how it goes. I'm planning to cover that up with one of my glitter pens. I figure if I get enough followers, I'll end up streaming. So I'm just practicing in case I get enough to be able to stream on TikTok or well, I know we can stream on Facebook, but lots of places we can stream stuff nowadays. But being a Canadian, I don't get quite the advantage that the Americans do, and I think other countries, in regards to streaming and content and stuff on. So, for a while there, I was trying to make this into a business. You know, that idea of taking something I love and making it into something I do as my job. But I found that as much as I love making coloring books, I was not enjoying doing it as a business. I like just making them because I can. And I will, do some marketing and share and all that just so people can find it. I actually really love seeing how people color the pages in and how different they look, depending on who colors them and the colors that they use. I mean, I've been quite impressed with the way people have been able to bring these to life. and their skills and how beautiful they end up looking. There's been a few times where I did not recognize my own artwork at first, and it took me a minute to realize that I was looking at one of my drawings all colored in. Because I was sitting there going, that's really pretty. And then it was like, wait a sec, that's mine. So that's always amazing. It's fun. But you got to find your joy where you can these days. And, you know, this gives me joy, so I'm doing it. You can't just live life to work. And you can't make everything that you do into an income. Sometimes you just have to do things because you love them. You can. Now, of course, there's some people out there who, you know, love making coloring books and have made an income out of it. And it becomes a business. And then they spend all their time making books and marketing it. But I decided I am not going to be one of those people because it kind of took the fun out of it for me. And I do this because I like it. And I think people enjoy my books. So the last thing I want to do is make it work. Make it into a job, which can take away from everything. I'd much rather do this because I enjoy it than because it's how I make my living. I do have a weakness for primary colors, dark colors, and when I do my covers and stuff, I have to make sure that I don't do that because they do not translate very well on Amazon KDP. They come out super dark, so I'm actually in the process of doing some of my covers again, just because they had, well, looked really good when I made them, but when they got printed, they were really dark and muted. So I came to the conclusion I'm going to have to do bright, 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 bright. A little bit of contrast. And, you know, some nice complementary colors and try to make it pop. And so I actually tried doing that with this cover, which, you know, I have to kind of, I don't think it quite worked out the way I planned it to. You know, it's got the bright colors, but I don't know. I may redo this cover. It's bright, but it doesn't really pop. At least not on the website. But one of my solutions was I found some people who enjoy coloring as much as I enjoy drawing. And they've been doing the cover art for me. And I am using them as my covers. I still do some of my own covers, but I like showing different styles, and I really enjoy seeing what they create. And it just, you know, instead of it being just my style, my fashion, my taste, I get a nice mix of things, and hopefully to appeal to people, and we go from there. Don't let anybody tell you making coloring books is not hard work. The drawings themselves are simply a joy to do. But then I have a hard time deciding which book to put them in. So that's always fun, trying to decide, is this, which pages go together. And then once I have that all sorted out, I usually have to start work on a cover, of course, and the titles, and those are the hard parts. You know, I made some really silly mistakes when I first started out, such as calling my coloring books, well, the first one was called Adult Coloring Book. And it is incredibly difficult and hard and tiny, and I don't usually talk about it, not because I don't like the artwork, but because I know that the majority of people out there are not going to be able to color them, even the enlarged parts. So, you know, we all make mistakes. And yeah, but the funnier part for me is that I did not learn from my first mistake. And I did a second one later on that I also called Adult Coloring Books. Now, there's more to the title. It's just both of them started off with Adult Coloring Book. And then they had, you know, much more information in the title on Amazon. Huge, long title. And I only put the first part of the title on both books. So both of them are called Adult Coloring Book. So I have come a long way since then. And I have to laugh at it now. But of course, you know, it's a little late to go in and change the title. And you can't really do that on KDP, which is understandable. But, yeah. And then my next nemesis was covers. And for two reasons. One is, again, I really like colors that are darker. And they do not translate very well into a cover online. It does not pop. They tend to, I got a couple that are, you know, they look very muddy and dark. And everybody else, it seems to just pop off the screen. And while I like how I colored it, and I enjoy the cover, it does not show the book off very well. So I had to learn that how important the title is, how important the colors used on the cover are, what piece of artwork do I use? Do I use one or do I put a bunch on? And so over the last couple of years, I think I've learned quite a bit. And I still enjoy making them. But the biggest thing I learned is that it doesn't matter if you make a mistake, because you can go back and fix it later. So a couple of them I am doing new covers for. And it's just a matter of saying, this doesn't work, and I'm going to do something different. And let's start doing the things that do work. And there's a huge difference in my old covers to my new covers. And the names of my books, you know, I was giving them these really long names. And now the names are still kind of long, but they're not anywhere near what I used to do. You know, and I'm not afraid to do seasonal now. Whereas when I first came out, everybody was like, don't do anything about the holidays because you know, it's only good for a couple of weeks out of the year. You want stuff that people want all year round. And so I did that, and I kept thinking in the back of my mind, I'd like to do, you know, a Halloween one. I'd like to do Christmas, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't for the longest time. And I finally said, forget it. I enjoy making the coloring books, and I'm just going to make coloring books for me. And if that means that I am going to do a Halloween book, then I'm going to do a Halloween book. And so I did my first Halloween book this year. Oh, that did come out really dark. Okay. Well, again, I do like darker colors. But, and then I decided to do a snowflake one for winter. And that one's going to be coming out this year on October 28th. And it's snowflakes, enchanted snowflakes. And we'll see how it does. But again, I'm just doing it because I like it. I think I should have gone with a lighter green on this. But I like the color. We'll see how it looks with more light. But I do like strong colors. So I am yammering away mainly because I'm assuming that I'll post this out full on YouTube. And people are probably going to hear me, but I'm going to make some shorts out of this and cover it up with music. Now I am finding that this section here, I'm having to just use the very tip of the marker. And for some of the smaller ones, I am probably going to go with either my gel pens or I am going to go with my smaller markers. Because I do have a habit of making really tiny lines. And if you don't have the right markers, it's going to be really hard. So go. So I have a variety of them. Now I also like pencil crayons, which I think in the States you guys call coloring pencils.
Colored pencils, I believe.
Thank you. Colored pencils. Now I, of course, picked up my colors ahead of time, mainly because I'm recording. Normally, I will pick a color I like and go with it, and then decide what colors I want to go with it after that. And I usually have a piece of paper beside me, and what I do is I take the colors, and I put them side by each to see how they go. You know, and I know all about the color wheels and color theory and all that fun stuff. But honestly, sometimes I just want to see how something looks. Now, I'm going to see if this one comes up. It's not dark enough. because I accidentally covered that with red, so I will have to pick out a different yellow because this one is very, very faint. So I'm going to try using one of my Staedtlers. See how that goes. Again, very tiny. See if that comes up. If not, I may just have to accept that that one is just going to be too dark. I'm going to keep it consistent. So some of my coloring pages are all, you have to use these. I laugh because I used to do illumination and I would do teeny tiny images, and I still am really drawn to doing that. And so you end up finding some of my pages, the space to color is very small. So I have very much enjoyed drawing them, but I completely understand that they are challenging and can be very difficult. So I also make a point of making some coloring books that are much easier, larger space, thicker lines, you know, just so you can relax, have fun with it. I think most people who are coloring because they want to relax. They want to just lose themselves in the pattern or the colors. So I have a nice red. Now I'm gonna play the old game of what colors do I use next. I think because I've done such a dark color in here, I'm gonna have to do some lighter colors. Okay. So we will see what colors do I want. I thought I had everything picked out, but of course, you know, I do have a habit of going with really dark colors. And then I find that I have to change the colors sometimes. So even now I'm looking for lighter color and I end up going with another dark color. I mean, it's not as dark, but it's still a darker color. No, that one will not go. It's kind of mossy. I'm feeling this color a bit more. It's a little brighter. But I do have a couple other greens I can try. That one might work. I think that one's going to be the right green. So I will lighten it up a little bit with that green. Although I am thinking about bringing in some more yellows. So this is going to be a lighter green. It's all about relaxing. I just get stressed out as it is trying to go shopping or, go buy groceries or turn on the news or even checking social media these days right now is a bit stressful. And sometimes you just gotta take a break from it. There was one point when I was at work, I could, darn it, I got green right there. But there was a point when I was at work, I was able to color. And my job was very stressful. And it made a difference. Can't do that now, but so I have to find time to color. And the irony of that is, of course, the very fact that you have to find the time itself to do things kind of becomes stressful too. So it's good just to relax. Yeah, that's a much better green. I think if I was to redo this one, I would use this green. And when I picked it out, and when I looked at it and I compared it, I was thinking, oh, it looked good. But then when I actually put it on the page, it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to. This one's much better. But I enjoy these Crayola markers. Honestly, I just picked them up at a Walmart. And I find that they work wonderful. I know quite a few of my friends, they like to, get the real fancy, expensive ones. And they make some beautiful, I do mean beautiful coloring pages with them. But sometimes you just gotta use what you have, what you can afford. And that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with going to the dollar store and buying what markers you can, or pencil crayons, or coloring crayons, or markers. Because the point isn't about having the best tools or equipment. It's about just taking some time and relaxing, making something pretty. Creating something. Now, some people like to print them so that they can have as many copies as they want. I am using one of my actual books, though I am in the process of putting stuff on Etsy so people can download them and print as, do as many as they need to. Because sometimes when you make a mistake, you just want to start all over again. I think glitter pens and gel pens are a wonderful way to sometimes cover up a mistake. But it doesn't always work. And sometimes it's nice to have the ability just to print and start all over again. I think my problem is every single time I did one, they would always be different. I would never redo the same one, I don't think. Even if I was trying to. I think I would forget. And just go, hey, I'm going to try this instead. So, okay to make mistakes. We make mistakes in life, and we just need to pick ourselves up and keep on going. Yeah, and we're going to make mistakes when we're coloring. Not everything's fixable. Sometimes you just have to live with it. And that is the big secret in life. To accept what you can and cannot do. I am always trying to fix my stuff. So, much better green. This green was the better choice. But if I decide to do another one of these ones, I would go with the lighter green. Now, in a nice bright light, the blue and the green will stand out. Oh, there we go again. That is why I like doing the thicker lines. At least for me. I mean, I can do the thinner lines. I do them, and I enjoy them. But they take a long time to do. I mean, they're worth it at the end. But you gotta be willing to put the time into them. If you are just doing something to enjoy and relax, the more intricate ones are not necessarily the right ones. So you gotta kind of know your mood. When I was doing this at work and I was very stressed, I was doing some of the more intricate ones because you had to focus and it kind of took my mind off things. I mean, it took forever to do because I was having to stop all the time, but in between, when I was able to take my breaks and stuff, I would color a little bit. And it helped. But I find that my hands can only do a little bit of those at a time. So doing it over weeks was just how it worked out. So I didn't decide what I was going to do on this. I just kind of do what feels right. See, same color. It's darker here than it was here because it's smaller. And it's against more black. So I could have even gone with a lighter green here. If I had something similar, I could have. Okay, but it's still not as dark as that one. And again, that one there might have worked okay here because it's more open. So you gotta remember, smaller, darker. I don't know if I'd be very good at street. I get focused and I forget. Now this is not the most ideal spot to be coloring at because the lighting's not that good, but this was my first doing the video, so I picked a spot where I didn't have to worry about the hitting the camera or the phone. And I added some extra light, but I think it needs more light. I'm hoping it's light enough on the actual footage or video so people can see what I'm doing. There we go. I don't know. I find it interesting. Some people do every single spot a different color almost. And the same colors touching on some of my intricate ones. Then other people color the whole section the same color. And both work out beautiful. I like watching different people create something that is so unique. And yet they both started off with the same page. And their styles are so different. And yet it works. Now, admittedly, I have preferences for colors I like to use, and I am more drawn to greens, reds, you know, the bolder colors, though. It's neat to see them. I'm trying to decide if I want to go all yellow or orange in here, or reds. Do I want to go like blues? I think with the darker colors, I may have to pop it a little bit with something bright. And I am thinking about using my smaller markers for it, because these are actually kind of small, which is funny because I make stuff that is way tinier. And thinner lines. But, you know, it all works out. So I think I'm going to be done with this green, but I'll leave it out just in case. And I'm going to bring in the red. No, I like this red. It stands out. I'm just using the tip. That's why I like these ones, because they have a nice tip. Super tips. Does mean I have to be a little careful and very conscious about what I'm doing so that I don't go outside. If I apply too much pressure, it's gonna take up too much space. It's been a long time since I've had a chance to do some coloring. Everything's been focused on drawing lately. And sometimes you have to remind yourself to do the things you love. Life just seems to suck up all the time, all the energy. And I find sometimes I just forget about the things I want to do, because I'm so busy doing the things I have to do. And there's not enough time or energy. Never thought I'd have to consciously say I am putting what I want to do in as important as what I need to do. But if you don't do it. So I'm just checking because I noticed a couple spots where I hadn't colored. It's much easier to add than take away, though. Okay. Now I did a dark blue here. I think I'm going to keep the same blue. It's very dark. So I think I'm going to fill that other color up. That other one. I was originally going to do blue and blue. But I think I might bring in something bright. More yellow, maybe. with something this dark is if you go over the line, it's real obvious. Now, I kind of went with dark because I'd gone over the line with the green here. And I knew the blue was going to cover it. And the red was not. I would have ended up with, you know, brown. I don't know. Browns can be nice. But not on this. I don't think it's quite the holiday colors I was planning on, but that's okay. There we go. Now, one of the reasons why I like using dark, strong colors is because when you use something vibrant, it tends to pop. Now, I probably should have been using the gel pens from the get-go on this one because it's a lot easier to use on this particular one. I mean, I like using my Crayolas, but with the thickness of the lines and stuff, these work better. And I have a bit more control because I'm not having to keep it up, keeping the pressure small because I don't want to go over. I can apply more pressure with this one, which gives me a bit more control. I'm liking how that's looking. Now, the disadvantage of this is that, of course, it goes over, it kind of shows on the black, where the marker does not. But it's all good. And I just realized I need to put my piece of paper down. This ink did not quite dry as fast, and I got some on my hand. That came out nice. Now, my question is do I want to fill this in with this, or do I want to use this? Nope, that one didn't work either. So, this color. And this is why I don't think I would be very good at doing streaming, because I like to focus. That's coming out quite lovely. Let's see if there's another color that I can add in there that will work. So I have some, oh, there we go. That's the gold. So I'm going to go over these ones with the gold. I know it's darking it, but it's going to cover that little bit of red I got. And I do have a weakness for gold. Not actual gold, but the color gold. It's going to cover up all the little mistakes I made. But ones like this go really well on the black. So if I wanted to, I could do all the black and it would stand out. I like metallic gel pens. Because if I wanted to, I could highlight right in here. But I'm going to go in here. This is going to be gold. I am sure if I could afford it, I would have a gold leaf addiction, where I would just cover everything with gold leaf. And that is coming from the days when I used to do medieval illumination. Now, couldn't afford gold leaf back then either, but I did buy special paints, watercolor paints. That worked wonderfully with it. And I would have little tiny brushes. just had to lower my chair. Yeah, these are working much better for me on this one. I do love my Crayolas though. So it's funny. When I first started doing this, it wasn't because I wanted to become a colorist. It was because, or coloring book maker or illustrator. It was because I was able to draw again after having a hand injury. I'd always loved painting and drawing, and I just, did it for me and did the illuminations and stuff. But even though other people use them, I did it for me. And to be able to color again, to be able to draw, that's why I did this, because I could. That's peachy. Peachy. An orange, not a peach. Let's try this one. How come all the colors I want are dried out? That's my own fault. So, anyone know of any ways of getting these to work again? Okay, these are supposed to be orange, but they're coming out like a pink to me. One of the glitter looks pinky. Let's try this one. I like both of these. But this is a shiny yellow. So this is a shiny yellow, which is more of metallic. So I'm going to do that in the middle. It's not a gold. It's not a copper. But I like it. nudging the. Here we go. That looks good. There we go. Couldn't quite get the one color I wanted. So this was the closest one I had. It's very bright, and that's okay. I mean, with the other colors, it's going to be vibrant. But there's a distinct difference between the actual flower and out here. It's okay. If anyone out there has a couple good tricks to get some of my pens working, because again, it's a matter of I got them and then I just didn't use them because I was doing other stuff. And you gotta keep them used or they dry out. I think this one's going to be too dark. I mean, it's a nice orange and all, but it's kind of dark compared to the other ones. So I only have so many colors on this. I think part of my frustration is the color I want, I can't use. This is the color I wanted, and it will not work. Ball has so silver. It's not the color I was thinking about. I just may have to go with the yellow again. Nope, that's another goldy color. I do love the range of the colors. And what I have here, let's try how pale this one is. That is super pale, and it is not working right. Oh. Let's try. So it's paler than the other one, but it may not be picking it up on the camera. Now, the reason why I like this is if I want to make this a little bigger, I can. So I'm just trying to figure out what to put there, and I think we're going to do my red. Just bring in the colors from here to there. taking away all my markers and everything. I'm taking a bit of a break. I might color some more. I think it came out rather nice. It's kind of hard to tell in some of the light, but yeah, there would be a couple things I would have changed. But that's life. You do what you can, change what you need to. But not bad for finally getting over my, I wouldn't say fear of doing this on film, but you know, I had to do something. So my only concern is that one is really dark to me. And I have silver. Silver is not the right color. Maybe a bit of sparkle. No, that's dark. There we go. It's even darker, but it's sparkly. And so while it may not show up very well on the video, this is very, very sparkly. And the sparkling does add to it. And this is one of the reasons why I like these gel pens, is because I can go over other stuff and change it up if I want to. It's also very pretty in the light, which, as I said, I didn't quite have the right lighting here. There we go. Let's just see how the light goes on it. So I think that came out really nice. So if you have any books that you want me to try coloring some of the stuff from, or you think of any pictures that you would like me to color, and you know my stuff, let me know, and I will be happy to do so.